Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our presentation on public goods and externalities. Today, we're going to explore how markets deal with goods and services that impact not just the buyer and seller, but society as a whole. We'll dive into why some benefits and costs extend beyond individual transactions, affecting broader communities in important ways. I'm excited to take you through this fascinating topic and shed light on how these concepts shape our economy and daily lives. Let's get started. Here we're focusing on two key economic concepts that often lie at the heart of market challenges. First, we have non-excludable goods. These are goods where it's tough to stop people from using them, which creates problems because it's hard to ensure that only those who pay get to benefit. This can make it tricky to generate a fair return through typical market transactions. Then, there are external effects, which occur when actions cause costs or benefits to spill over onto others who aren't involved in the decision. This can lead markets to fail because these impacts aren't accounted for when people or firms make decisions. Both of these issues highlight why some economic problems can't be solved by the market alone. The image here, showing people in a public space, reminds us of how these concepts play out in everyday life. When we talk about public goods, there are two key characteristics to keep in mind. First is non-excludability, which means it's nearly impossible to stop people from using the good once it's provided. Second is non-rivalry, meaning that one person's use doesn't diminish the availability of the good for others. For example, a lighthouse, like the one shown here, provides navigational aid to all ships in the area without excluding anyone, and one ship benefiting doesn't reduce the help available to others. Other common examples include national defense and street lighting, services that protect or assist entire communities simultaneously, benefiting multiple people at once. These features make public goods unique and essential in many aspects of society. Here we see why markets often fail to provide enough public goods. The main challenge is what we call the free rider problem. This happens because people can enjoy benefits from public goods without actually paying for them. Since private companies can't easily exclude those who don't pay, there's less motivation to contribute or invest in producing these goods. As a result, fewer public goods are created than what society really needs. You can imagine a group, like the one here, enjoying a public park together, but not everyone pitches in to maintain it. This issue highlights why public goods are often underprovided in purely market-driven systems. Here we have some common examples of public goods, which are essential services and infrastructure that benefit society as a whole. First, public safety is critical. Services like police and fire departments work tirelessly to protect our communities and keep everyone safe. Next, clean air is another vital public good. Regulations that maintain air quality help protect our health and preserve the environment for everyone. Flood control infrastructure, such as levees and dams, plays a key role in preventing widespread damage by managing water flow and protecting entire regions from flooding. Finally, scientific research provides foundational knowledge that benefits society broadly, far beyond any single private interest. These examples highlight how public goods are crucial for well-being and security on a large scale. Here we are looking at externalities, which are essentially costs or benefits that affect third parties who are not directly involved in a market transaction. First, let's talk about negative externalities. These occur when production or consumption imposes uncompensated costs on others. A common example would be pollution, like the smoke you see billowing from these industrial chimneys in the image. Since these costs aren't reflected in market prices, they can lead to inefficiencies in the economy. On the other hand, we have positive externalities. These are the opposite. They involve benefits experienced by third parties that go unaccounted for in market transactions. Because the benefits aren't compensated, they too cause inefficiencies since the market undervalues these favorable effects. Understanding both negative and positive externalities is crucial because they highlight the ways in which markets can fail to allocate resources efficiently without intervention or regulation. This image perfectly captures the kind of external effects we're discussing, showing how industrial activity can spill over its impact beyond just the producers and consumers directly involved. Here we're looking at some of the negative externalities we experience in everyday life. First, pollution imposes costs that go beyond what you might see on a price tag. It damages our health and the environment, affecting everyone around us, not just the polluters. Then there's traffic congestion. When the roads get backed up, it wastes time and fuel for all drivers, and this isn't something any one driver can control on their own. Finally, secondhand smoke represents another hidden cost. Exposure to smoke harms non-smokers' health, which means the consequences extend beyond just the person who chooses to smoke. These examples show how individual actions can have wider impacts on society, often in ways that are difficult to manage or compensate for directly. Here we're looking at the positive externalities or spillover effects that come from activities like vaccination, education, research and development, and home improvements. These actions don't just benefit the individuals directly involved, they create wider advantages for society as a whole. For example, when more people get vaccinated, it helps prevent the spread of diseases beyond just the vaccinated individual. Similarly, education not only improves a person's knowledge, but also contributes to a more informed and productive community. The challenge is that often individuals or companies capture only part of the total value they create, which means these beneficial activities might be underconsumed. This underconsumption can lead to fewer vaccinations or less investment in research than what would be ideal for society, highlighting the importance of understanding and encouraging these positive spillover effects. Here we have a clear comparison between private effects, spillover effects, and the likely market outcomes for various activities. Starting with driving in rush hour, the private effect is the convenience and time saved for the individual driver. However, the spillover effect includes increased congestion and pollution, which impacts everyone else. This often leads to overuse of roads and traffic jams, showing a negative social outcome despite individual benefits. Next is planting a tree. The private effect is personal enjoyment and shade, while the spillover includes improved air quality and better aesthetics for the community. Because the broader benefits are not fully accounted for by individuals, we often see an under-provision of trees. Vaccinating presents a similar issue. The private benefit is protecting oneself from disease, and the spillover effect is reduced disease transmission in the community. Unfortunately, this leads to under-vaccination, since some people may not consider the wider social benefits. Finally, polluting reduces costs for the polluter, which is their private gain, but causes health and environmental damage as a spillover effect. This imbalance results in excessive pollution and harm to society. Overall, this table highlights how private benefits often differ from social outcomes, which can result in market failures if externalities are not addressed. Here we see 4 key ways that governments respond to externalities to protect social welfare and promote positive outcomes. First, governments impose taxes on harmful activities. These taxes are designed to discourage behaviors that create negative spillovers, like pollution, by making them more costly. Next, we have subsidies for benefits. These are financial incentives provided to encourage activities that generate positive external effects, such as clean energy projects or education programs. Third, there's regulation, where rules and standards are set to limit harmful behaviors directly, ensuring certain limits are not crossed. Finally, tradable permits allow firms to buy and sell rights to engage in specific activities. This market-based approach aligns incentives by enabling companies to find the most cost-effective way to reduce harm. Together, these tools form a balanced strategy for managing externalities effectively. Here we focus on the effectiveness of private bargaining in addressing externalities, drawing from COSA's insights on property rights and negotiation. When property rights are clearly defined and transaction costs are low, private parties can negotiate directly to resolve conflicts or externality issues. This kind of negotiation is particularly effective in smaller settings where only a few people are involved. However, as the number of parties increases, or the situation becomes more complex, bargaining becomes more challenging, and private negotiation may not be as efficient. The image of 2 individuals shaking hands symbolizes the agreement or deal that results from successful negotiation, highlighting the practical application of these concepts in real-world scenarios. Here we're looking at three important types of goods: common resources, club goods, and public goods. Starting with common resources, these are goods where it's difficult to exclude people from using them. However, when one person consumes the resource, it reduces what's available for others. A good example would be fisheries. If overfishing happens, the fish stock declines for everyone else. Next are club goods, which are excludable, meaning access can be controlled. Think toll roads or streaming services. While there is a capacity limit, many users can enjoy these goods simultaneously without reducing availability immediately. Finally, public goods are neither excludable nor rival. This means they're freely available to everyone, and one person's use doesn't diminish their availability to others. Examples include national defense and clean air. These distinctions help us understand how resources are shared and managed in society. To wrap up, it's important to understand why these concepts truly matter. Public goods, like clean air or public parks, are often underprovided because markets don't naturally supply them in sufficient amounts. Meanwhile, externalities, those side effects of economic activity, create a gap between what's best for individuals and what's best for society as a whole. When markets fall short, well-designed policies can step in to improve efficiency and outcomes. These ideas are crucial as they help explain many real-world issues we face, from environmental challenges and public health to infrastructure development and fostering innovation. Recognizing these dynamics is key to shaping effective solutions that benefit everyone.